Now we're live. Hello, everybody. I am Teri here, and I am here with a very special guest today from Arcane Factories, Justin.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Hello, hello.
So Justin is from Arcane Factories. They make some really exceptional models, and we actually got a chance to hang out a little bit at Adepticon where he told me about what they're trying to do, and I was really intrigued by it. So we thought that we might kind of introduce you guys to what Justin's doing. So as always, you can leave questions in the comments. I'll try to check up on that. But you can also use the question and answer function. There should be a link just down below, and I think we'll actually be better off getting comments up from there. So if you do have questions throughout the whole Hangout, just post them up there. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Okay, so my full name is Justin Tan. I am from the visual effects industry up here in Vancouver, BC. Most of my crew at Arcane Factories are also from the VFX industry, and we work on, I used to work on movies and TV shows and TV adverts, and I also used to work at Vancouver Film School. So yeah, we're from that industry, and we decided to change tack a little bit and go into making miniatures. So that's where we're from, and that's what we do, and now we do this.
That's super awesome, Justin. So one of the things that I remember you talking about when we actually presented, like you did a little bit of presentation to the Wargamers Consortium, was talking about your design philosophy. So
Yes.
I think that's super intriguing, super exciting, and I liked it because it felt like something fresh and new when it comes to mini war games and models for the games that we love and play. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so Arcane Factories, well, we're a little bit different from other miniature companies. We actually employ a whole team of animators. A lot of the people in our crew are animators, and we believe that it's important for us, when you create a miniature, the pose is very important because we like to tell stories with our miniatures. You know, it's an animator's job to actually tell a story with a pose. And so our characters usually we try to shoot for some sort of visual narrative when creating our characters. So, yeah.
That's tremendously exciting. I remember when you actually showed some poses for some characters we've all kind of like seen from an icon perspective. So I remember you showed how disappointing it was to see like some really great Space Marine art, showing these dynamic poses. And then, getting the starter set model totally A-framed and just standing there, maybe pointing at something, because everyone knows that Space Marines do nothing better than point at whatever they're going to kill.
Yeah. So actually, I got a few little graphics here I can show you to emphasize my point. So let me just do a screen share here. And this little snippet's actually a snippet from the video that will be in our Kickstarter campaign. So yeah, everyone's getting a little sneak peek. I don't think anyone has seen this before.
Ooh, fancy.
So this is a point of using animators for our in our company. So usually when you design a model, when we design something, it's just we design stuff with a stick figure first. So he's not too interesting there. But as we go from that, we try to imagine what type of pose that our character's going to be in. Is he just going to be standing there? What's he doing? And then we probably go for some sort of dynamic action pose like this. Just a very simple kind of stick man kind of drawing. They're going to be stabbing or swinging a punch or something. And then from there, our team kind of goes ahead and gives it a bit of flair. We design a little bit of the armor and the costume, I guess, of each character, and then we just go. It's like we hand them a vague idea, and we hand them a very rough costume design, and then they kind of go for their life. So if I actually show you what we do, we have a whole bunch of poses for this. This is one of the miniatures that's going to be in our Kickstarter lineup, and she was designed to be a kind of a bit of a ninja girl. So we have all these different poses that we went through. just to show the body shape and trying to get the pose to be more dynamic.
You can really see how dynamic those poses are, Justin.
Yeah. And then we tried to push the pose a little bit more. And then at the end, we wound up with this as the final thing.
Ooh,
And,
that's gorgeous.
Yep. And people voted on it, and it's actually in our lineup. She actually won one of our little voting competitions, so we got her. And for us animators, what we did was we actually lined up all the different drawings that we did. And
Oh, wow.
Kind of like a little dance.
That's beautiful.
Yep. That's it. Yeah.
So Justin, when it comes to making these models and voting on them, where can people follow you? Where does that happen for you guys?
Well, we have a voting competition on Facebook right now. The final lineup, our 10 miniatures that we've decided to be in our lineup for Kickstarter, they've already been voted on. But a lot of the competitions that we had, they were very close. Like some miniatures only won by like one vote. It was like a one vote difference between a whole bunch of them. So we decided to grab all the guys that didn't quite make it into our final lineup and throw them all together into a big voting frenzy. And you can check that out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Arcane Factories. And people can...
We'll throw the link in the description too, so if you're watching this and it's not live for you, you can check them out. I'll put the link down in the description. You can follow these guys out, and we'll also put the link to the Kickstarter when it goes live, which is definitely something we want to do. I'm super excited about like being able to see these models. And I one thing I noticed with that female ninja model you had was that she's actually like wearing clothes, which is like kind of interesting and cool, and not something you necessarily see in a lot of like these kind of, I don't want to say like third-party models, model companies that make them. They often kind of tend to disrobe the character a little bit more.
Well, we had so many requests from our local gaming community here for models with more practical kind of feel to them. I mean, honestly, if you were to go to battle in a chainmail bikini, you'd probably get a couple of arrows just stuck in your sternum, and you wouldn't last very long. So we have that type of philosophy when designing armor for our female characters. We tend to do stuff that's stylish and practical at the same time. So, for example, one of our flagship models here is Bertha, and she's a big barbarian kind of lady. Let me just share that on the screen right now. So we got her, and you can see she's wearing a much more practical type of chest plate that will definitely deflect a lot of arrows and sword bullets than, say, a chainmail bikini, as a lot of other designs would have on a barbarian girl. Just go, okay, barbarian girl, the first thing that pops to your head is, okay, chainmail bikini and big sword. And go, well, you're not going to last very long on the battlefield on that.
I love that. You know, I think what I love too is that, especially like when it comes to Bertha, the model is obviously female too. It's not like, you know, it could be some chick in like some heavy armor. No, it's female, but it's also very well armored, and I love that. I love the detail on this model too. I can't really quite emphasize enough how great this model looks. I have one in a blister in person, and I've actually built one as well. It is awesome. Beautiful. It is beautiful, and yeah, so I absolutely appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. You got your package, I take it.
I did, and we're going to be giving away these models. So we'll stay till the end of the video, and I will give you details on how you guys who are watching can win yourself some Arcane Factory models for yourself.
Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about the idea of like the realistic armor and like in the context of some of the other stuff you've done, because I have to mention it. Like, if you follow you guys on Facebook, you know, you have Christina, who's kind of like very like Sister of Battle kind of inspired model, beautiful armor, beautifully shown, just right there.
Yep.
And you also have Bertha, who we've talked about and how much I adore the way she looks. And then you have Sasha, which I remember when I was at Adepticon, I looked at that blister and I was like, where are her clothes?
Well, Sasha, let me get her up here. That's a picture of Sasha. Sasha we designed specifically for a client, Lester Bursley from Painting Fame, from his YouTube channel. He commissioned us to design Sasha, and we treated him as we would any client, and we did exactly what the client asked for, which was a half, or in this case almost 3/4 or more naked ninja girl, and that's what he wanted, and that's what we did.
That's, it's cool. I mean, I think, like, especially when you're working as a small company, that's totally understandable, and and when you're being commissioned and paid to be able to get your other stuff out there, that's totally fair. I just remember, out of context, when you see a model like this, she doesn't even have a shirt. Like, what's a half shirt? I'm not quite sure. It reminds me a lot of the I don't know, the super workout females who all are about the underboob, cleavage now. But it's beautifully sculpted, and I can see the skill in even just creating a dynamic pose for her. But I would love to see, like, an armored version, a clothed version of this model.
We actually did that. The ninja girl that you saw.
Oh, that's her.
That's actually her. That's okay. Let's give Sasha. If Sasha was meant to be wearing armor and be a bit more practical, that's what she would look like.
And I think, especially, like, in the context of the newest Wood Elf release as well, like, that type of model could very easily fit into that kind of army as well, like as a sword singer or that sort of thing. And I'm very excited to see that kind of dynamic posing, because I'm sure, like, we've all been there where you get really excited about a particular unit after you've bought the army book, and you open up the book, and then you buy the model box, and you open up the sprues, and you just put the thing together, and it's just not what you wanted it to be.
We actually do have some elves. Let me see if I can find them here.
Ooh, elves.
We designed some elves. We designed a male elf and a female elf, and we put them in our voting competition to see if people liked them or not, and they just missed out. I think the female elf lost out by 1 point. But if you want to see her, this is the current competition right now, where you can kind of see all the people, all the miniatures that didn't quite make it. But that's the female elf right there.
Oh my goodness!
She is quite detailed. We gave her a kind of satyr horns here, and she's probably bearing the most skin. Her midriff is bare because we wanted to give her a little bit more feral kind of look, and using, instead of leaves for armor, it's lots of leather and feathers for decoration, because really, what's a leaf gonna stop in the middle of battle?
In the context of what you're making, right? Like, it's like there's a whole context to that character. I love that. I love that model, though. I mean, I think that's the one thing that I noticed as well, is you guys have this really great, even before you start tooling, you go through this incredible process. Like, you have like you demonstrated the animator process with the posing and getting the shape down, and then you have an incredible like artist, an illustrator, actually bring that posing and that character to life to fill in those gaps. I remember, like, number 8 on that board there, seeing that back in Adepticon, and just being absolutely in love with that model, just the art of that model and the lines, and like, it's dramatic, and it still feels like it has weight to it. And I think it's so easy to get a model, and they feel heavy, but they don't feel dynamic. And like, what you guys are able to do is give the drama to something while not necessarily having that heaviness that just makes things static.
Well, when with designing that model, that's what we called the vampire's guardian. So we kind of started thinking, okay, if vampires all kind of are super gothic and they like to live in very gothic-like buildings or crypts, what about if the actual guardians guarding their crypts turned out to be part of the actual structure itself, like part of the actual crypt itself? What would they be wearing? So why don't we just make them attired as if they were like a walking cathedral, a walking crypt, this giant stone-like golem thing? So that's what we had in mind when designing this character here in number 8.
That's incredible, and I think that it's a real testament to like the thoughtfulness that goes into each one of your character designs. So, Justin, why don't you talk a little bit about your Kickstarter and what you guys are hoping to do?
Well, our Kickstarter, when it goes live, we're hoping to put out 10 miniatures. Let's see if I can find a graphic of the 10 that actually made it in. Excuse me. And with those 10 miniatures, we're hoping that these 10 miniatures are exciting enough for people to get people's attention. And most of them are in that style of really dynamic posing, and we have one or two which are completely pure pinup because people asked us to do. Can you do some girl in the pinup kind of style, but that's not showing off too much skin? Like, okay, sure, we can do that too. And that's what we did. And we also have done some larger miniatures. And sorry, I'm buried underneath a whole stack of images here. I'm trying to find the right ones. So we have some larger models as well. Here we go. Oh, here's the lineup picture. I'm going to enlarge this for everyone. So this is the final lineup that made it. We have Bertha and our steampunk barrack. Is that coming through okay? It's not too blurry.
That looks pretty good.
Yep. Christina. Ingrid is just another one of the berserker ladies.
I think that you guys have really struck a chord with those like warrior females in that heavy armor.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably the only miniature in our line so far that breaks that kind of practical armor mold, is the Vampire Countess, because, well, they're vampires, they're mortal, and they don't quite really care about what armor they wear because they can just regenerate all the wounds anyway, so we put one in just to make people happy.
Well, part of the character is like when you have a sexy vampire, it's to lure people, right? So
that's right. It's all part of their it's part of the theme, so that one in there. We also have some steampunk. There's a lot of steampunk designs out there in the market, but not so much for like Asian style steampunk stuff. So we designed her for specifically, for the Asian, for people who like a little bit of a different kind of steampunk feel to it. And of course,
I love that.
Yeah, we have a traditional kind of steampunk looking females as well, and we have a lot of monks. I seem to like the monks.
I know I'll be backing for the monks. I play a game called Bushido, which I love, but like I feel like the miniature range is just a bit too narrow. And so I love the monks and the art that I've been seeing coming out of you guys on the Facebook page.
Cool. And this was one of our most popular monk designs here. This guy with the dragon fist.
Wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
We originally actually had a whole bunch of monks designed, but one of them we had the elemental monks designed, and we also had like the celestial monks designed that kind of correspond to like the Chinese zodiac kind of thing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, there's so many monks. Which ones do we pick? So we picked the couple of the coolest ones and put them in there for people can vote on. And this guy was up against one of the space angels that looked like Christina, and I thought it would have been a fair kind of voting, but I was completely wrong, and he demolished the return votes like 4 times over. Like, okay, people like dragons and monks, so the next wave of Kickstarter models will all be more of those zodiac monks.
Well, I mean, I think when we talk about, especially when we talk about representation of minorities in miniature wargaming,
Hmm.
and it's not something I necessarily talk about a lot, but it's something I notice a lot and very often. It's it's very hard to find that representation.
Hmm.
Um, and being someone of minority, um, of a minority background, obviously, it matters to me to have like characters within, the games that I play,
Hmm.
um, that are that look like me.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard to find that. Like, unless I play a game that is distinctly Asian, like Bushido, it's exceedingly hard. And having options for that is a really nice thing. Like, I look at that Asian steampunk you had over there, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I could probably proxy her in my War Machine list, like a Sorcha,
Yeah.
even like use her as my caster, like
Hmm.
that, because that feels more representative
Hmm.
of me on the battlefield, and I really like that.
We actually did have a few sketches of a steampunk girl with a giant steampunk scythe, which is definitely very Asian themed, but I'm still not too happy with the design, so I don't want to show anyone yet. I'm still tweaking it, still kind of tweaking it. The backpack's too big, and I want to keep some secrets for later.
Well, it's good to have, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's one thing that's a really great demonstration of what you guys are able to do is
Hmm.
the fact that you have all of these other great ideas
Hmm.
in your back pocket, right? So,
Yeah.
we have like a couple monks here, the most popular ones, but you have many, many more that we can come out with, if they're extremely popular, and
Hmm.
and it's nice to see like that demonstrated because, when I back a company on Kickstarter, especially, I pick companies who are they're not necessarily, just big companies who want to mitigate risk. They're people who actually, they need me to help them
Hmm.
get there, right?
Yes.
And it's nice to see that they're like, especially a company like you, that you're already looking forward to what's going to come next, and that thoughtfulness
Hmm.
is the kind of thing that I'm looking forward to, because to me it says, you're in it for the long haul. It's longevity as well.
Yeah, well, just the reaction that we got when showing our designs to people, and it was great to see people at Adepticon react in the way they did to our designs, even with they were just doodles and stuff that we did. Some of them we just did there and then at Adepticon, say, hey, why don't we do something like this? We're kind of sitting there at the booth and seeing people go past us. And okay, what about this? And then while we were doodling, some people had a reaction like, hey, what are you drawing? And one of them was actually the dragon guy here. It's like, oh, well,
Uh,
so it was great to see people kind of react to just us in our design process. I think the next convention that we go to will probably try and set up a television behind us and have our little tablets out in front of us and kind of just have a little sketching kind of thing just to draw people in. But yeah, I did manage to find the monsters and stuff. Hang on just a minute here.
ooh, exciting.
Yeah. So one of the themes that we had going, let me just close that, was the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. We wanted to cover them. So this is a war. These are larger models that we're designing that are meant to fit on either a 50 millimeter square base or a 60 millimeter large base. And as far as we know so far, I don't think anyone's kind of covering anything that's kind of apocalyptically themed. All you see on large bases these days are demons that kind of are correspondent to uh, miniatures from other companies.
Hmm.
Like, so we try to give it a little bit of a spin. So this is War from the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and we also have Famine, very
Uh,
tactile themed, and one of our we just finished this guy. This is Conquest, which was very difficult to design. Conquest. We went through hundreds of iterations. Well, maybe that's a bit of
oh wow.
dozens of dozens of iterations for Conquest, because we wanted him to represent, change and kind of a manipulation. And one of our earlier designs was like a giant floating brain spaghetti monster kind of thing. That's a bit Lovecraftian. And one of our most popular designs was actually Death.
Ah,
Yeah, the angel.
that looks super. I love that. It's incredible. Uh,
Thank you. So, yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So when we see these models on Kickstarter, what can you tell me a little bit about them? Like, what are we looking at for the material for casting, and kind of more details on the Kickstarter stuff itself.
Oh, the smaller miniatures, or 30 millimeter miniatures, will all be cast in metal, in white metal. We figured we go to white metal for a couple of reasons, and the first most obvious reason is that it's the cheapest for us to cast it in
Yeah.
white metal.
Mm-hmm.
We're a small company, and all the other two casting processes all have a very large and expensive footnote, so we decided to use white metal for that. And metal also manages to retain a lot of the detail
Mm-hmm.
put out. So, okay, white metal for small miniatures, that's fine. The larger ones will be done in resin. There's no two ways about it. If we were to give you a 60 millimeter miniature in metal, I don't think people will be very happy.
It'd be really crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
yes, totally crazy. So metal is the way to go. Oh, sorry, resin is the way to
Uh-huh.
go for the larger stuff. Um, the pricing points for the upcoming Kickstarter. We have several different pledge levels. The lowest one, of course, is the $1 thank you very much level. And then you can get a single miniature from us for $14 Canadian, 14 Canadian dollars. And then the next one up is we call it our budget sweet spot. The budget sweet spot is four of our characters, four of the smaller characters for $50. And then the next one up is the gold level sweet spot where you can pick from 10 of our characters for $110. That's correct. And that gives you all the extras that will be unlocked in the campaign as well. Now for our larger models, we have them all as add-ons. So if you want to buy just the larger ones, all you have to do is pledge the one at the $1 level, and then you can just add on any of the larger miniatures, and they're roughly about $75 each a piece. And
That's
yeah,
that's pretty common too for that scale and that size. That's
mm-hmm.
kind of
Yep.
normal. So that's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yep. Throughout the campaign, more of them will be unlocked. Actually,
Oh, that's exciting too.
yeah.
That's going to be really great.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start seeing the campaign as soon as it goes live. I'm going to post it in my Facebook, my Twitter. So if you're following,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get a heads up. You can also follow Arcane Factories on their Facebook. Again, I'll put the link down in the description. And you can also they'll probably notify everyone as well. Is there any other way that people can follow you, or is Facebook just generally the best way?
Facebook's the one that gets updated most often. I do update a little bit on Daka Daka, and I do post updates on our actual homepage as well. But if you really want to follow us, get onto our Facebook page, because that's where all the competitions are at. And you can vote for the miniatures that you like to see in our campaign. If you want to give us any feedback on our models, that's the best way to contact me as well. And if you have any suggestions, we're very open to suggestions. If you wanted something specific, we'll try and work something in. Maybe you'll see them appear in the campaign as an extra unlocked model for you guys. So yeah.
I love that kind of democratic, transparent feel to this, because I mean, let's face it, a lot of people will get onto Kickstarters, but when you're in the industry, when you've come from like the big backers just mitigating risk, they already have everything ready. It's like you have no say in what's going to come up. With you guys, it's really exciting because like we back and we communicate. I know how receptive you guys have been, even from the time I spoke to you to Adepticon now, how much you guys have listened and then responded to that. It's really incredible to see.
Yeah, one of our big things. Oops, excuse me. One of our big things when I started this company was, it's just every time I went to the game store, you know how a lot of gamers are. They complain when something new comes out. That's great, but this model is just, oh, why did they do it like this? Oh, the tire tracks look so silly, or it's pulled so, it keeps falling over, blah blah, or it's the way the model's standing looks like her back's broken, and keeps falling over, that sort of thing. So I listened to all these complaints from all these different game stores, and with 15 years of wargaming, those complaints kind of add up, and then people have been waiting so long for new things to go, okay, screw it, I'm going to do it. If no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And we work very closely with the online community as well, so we listen to their complaints and go, okay, what do you find wrong with these miniatures? So, okay, we don't like that one so much because it needs to be updated and the proportions are a bit weird. So, okay, what about this then? And then people get excited. So we love working with the community to get out, not just stuff that I like personally, but for you guys. We work for you guys.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. So yeah, thank you so much, Justin. If you have any questions, I know that I'll be hanging around in the comments, so if you leave a comment, I will flag it for Justin to come and answer. You can also follow them, as Justin said, on Facebook, and keep track with what they're going on. I'm really excited for this Kickstarter, Justin. I'm super excited to just see what kinds of stuff we're going to be able to come up with as we start hitting those really great milestones. Now, if you're watching and you want to win yourself a Bertha or a Christina, go down into the comments and leave a comment letting me know. I'm going to be doing a draw next Saturday, so you have 1 week. That is going to be May 10. So if you want to win a model, leave a comment down below letting us know what kind of model you want to see come out of Arcane Factories and what kind of model you want to be entered in the draw for. So I'm going to draw them separately, and I'm really excited to see what kind of ideas you guys come up with in the comments.
Thanks, Teri. And also, we're giving away more models on the on our competition right now on Facebook, where you can vote for the models that will be unlocked later on in our Kickstarter campaign. You have a chance to win a Bertha and a Christina as well, so go and check those out.
That is so exciting. So again, Arcane Factories on Facebook. I'm going to throw the link for all their stuff down in the descriptions. You can also find them if you hit my Facebook page. I'll link them through there. And I'm super excited, Justin. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about models today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to sign off now. So have a good one, people.
Bye.